Hello everyone, I'm back with another video on Excel learning. I've received a couple of requests on pivot table. A lot of people wanted to know how to use pivot table, and I feel there's a lot of confusion about pivot table because people who don't know how to use it, they think it's quite difficult to use, but it is actually not. So today I'll show you how to use pivot table in the simplest possible way. So for the purpose of pivot table, I've created a sample file or data, you can say. These are the list of products that are sold to these customers. And this column denotes the month in which these products to this customer have been sold. And these are the dollar value of the sales. If you notice, I have not put any heading here, and I'll tell you why. So let's start with applying pivot table. So you can keep your cursor anywhere in this table. So say if I put my cursor here, I go to insert and apply pivot table. So now if you see, it automatically captures the range, that's the entire table, and then it asks you whether you want to apply pivot table in a new worksheet or in an existing worksheet. So for example, I choose existing worksheet. You can choose existing worksheet in case if you want to see pivot table side by side. So if I choose existing worksheet, it asks for the location. So here I click this cell. You can click any cell or you can create pivot table in a new worksheet using this option. It's up to you. So now I press OK, and there you go. This is the error. This is the most common error you will come across when you try to apply pivot table, and why it comes up is because pivot table looks at the table, looks at the data that looks like a table. So for a pivot table to be effective, you need to have heading for all the columns. So in this instance, you've got the heading for column A, you've got the heading for column B, and you've got the heading for column D. But there is no heading for column C. That's why it won't let you apply pivot table. Also, sometimes you may see that some of the columns are hidden and you may not actually see them while trying to apply pivot table. So what I'm trying to say is, say this column was hidden, and now if I try to apply pivot table using the same functionality, it will still not let you apply the pivot table. But on the face, when you see this table, you can see the heading is there for column A, column B, and also for column D. But one column that's hidden, column C, does not have a heading. So I go back and I unhide it. So now I will put heading. That's my heading. Now I go back to pivot table, use existing worksheet. There you go. Now it lets me to play with the numbers. Okay. So if you see, there are four options in pivot table: filters, columns, rows, and values. So it all depends upon you how you want to see this data. So for example, I drag products into rows. So it will show you the list of products in rows. Instead of dragging, you can also right click here and you can choose this option, add to row labels. Now, what I'll do is I will add customers to columns. So now you see the rows are apple, banana, mango, and oranges, which are products, and columns are the names of the customers. Here, alternatively, what I can do is I can drag customers to rows and products to columns. There you go. So now your row labels would be customers, and this would be your products. Okay, let's move on. Now I'll put month in filters. What does filter denote? Or filter gives you the facility to either see all the data, or you can choose one or couple of months which you want to see the data for. I'll come back to this later. And what are the values I want to see in this cells? So I want to see dollar values, and there you go. So now it shows the total sale to customer A of a product apple is worth $920. Mango was $250, and hence the total sales to customer A was 1,170. So now it gives you the grand total of total sales. So out of 6,540, $2,000 worth of sales pertain to product Apple, and accordingly. Here, if you click here, you will find there's something called value field settings. So if you go to value field settings, it gives you the options whether you want to see the sum of dollar values, or if you want to see the count, or if you want to see the average. So say if I click average and I press OK. So now it gives the average sales of product Apple to customer A based on the dollar values, total dollar values, divide by number of times that product was sold. It's a simple average. So I go back to value field settings and I choose sum. Now coming back to the filter option. Now say if I want to see this data only for a specific month. So say I choose January 19 and I click OK. There you go. So if you see for January 19, only these two products were sold to this customer. No other sales took place in January 19. Or if I want to see couple of months, so I can first select multiple items, and then it gives you options to select the month of your choice. So say if I want to see Jan, Feb, and March. So now it gives you the total of Jan plus Feb plus March. So the total sales for those 3 months were $1,800, out of which $570 pertain to customer A, and further breakup is here at the product level. So I've tried to explain this pivot table in the simplest possible way that I know. You will find a lot of videos on pivot table, and people will be explaining pivot table in a lot different way than what I have done. I feel the way I've explained now is probably the simplest. But in case if you've got any doubts after watching this video, you can always post your comments and I will try my best to answer all of your queries. So yeah, this was a pretty simple way to use pivot table. It's how I used it. Conversely, if you want, you can change the way you want to see this report. So for example, I want to see customers and products both in rows. So there you go. It gives you row product A, customer A. Total sales of Apple to customer A was 320, and for Mango it was 250. So the total sales to customer A was 570 in this 3 months that you've chosen. Or you can also take this products into filter. So now you've got two filters. If you want, you can have two filters. If you want, you can have just one filter. So say here, not only I want to see the sales for these 3 months, but I only want to see the sale of just one product, that's say for example Apple. So it says the sales for product Apple during Jan to March was worth $580 for those two customers, that's A and S. So in this way you can play with the data as per you like. So now say for example I take it back to rows, the products. I can also take the months to column and say if I select all. So now it gives you a very comprehensive view of customer, month wise, and the product details. So again, it is totally dependent upon you how you want to see the data. This is the way you can actually see the entire data in just one table. So here, if you see, I have not put anything in filters. So again, if you want to move the filters, if you want to use the filters functionality with any of those values, you can do that. Do give it a shot and let me know your opinion. And let me reiterate the fact that these videos are for beginners and intermediaries who have just started working on Excel or who are not very comfortable with using Excel functionalities. The advanced users would already know all these functionalities. I will also be posting some advanced Excel formulas later, not now, but let's take just one step at a time. So yeah, do give this pivot table a shot and let me know your views on that. I will be back with another video very soon. Until then, goodbye.